Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new IDontWorkHereLady stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The first story is titled, I'm Not a Rental Boyfriend for Hire. There was a girl in my high school that was gay and had parents that were very against the idea of being so. I basically agreed to be her beard for 2 years on high school because they often pressured her into getting one and asked if she was gay beforehand. We had kissed in pictures on an account she used that her siblings saw, and other people had found it and knew the story of why we did what we did. Fast track to about a week ago, I ran into someone else that knew me, but I didn't know them from HS at a party, and they said they wanted to seem successful with a boyfriend that was doing well and was okay looking. Dialogue is roughly as follows. Her, so could you come to a dinner for Christmas with me and seem super into me? Me, that's weird and I DK you that well. Her, well you did it for old friend and took the money, so why not me? Am I not pretty enough to fake date? Me, well I wasn't paid to do that, it was a favor. And I once again don't know you and don't want to spend my Christmas faking being intertwined into another family dynamic. Her, so I'm not pretty enough, or you assume I don't have enough money? At this point multiple of her friends are saying if I'm already a prostitute then why not do it unless I think she's too ugly or something. Me, I think this is a gross exaggeration of what it was. I'm not a gigolo and don't do anything like this for money. They start saying they will pull a fund together for this, and I assume this is some kind of drunk chick thing and walk away. I later am asked to leave for calling them ugly. I didn't, and am called in a hole by an assortment of women on the way out. Was there a better way to handle this, or are drunk people just looking for a reason to be mad? The next story is titled, The Insecure Lady in a Dressing Room. A little background. This happened to me years ago, no drama, but thinking about it makes me smile, so I thought you might too. Shopkeepers in this little store doesn't have uniforms. Lady, L me, M shopkeeper, S. I'm browsing the shelves in this little store, when a lady in a dressing room next to me pulls the curtains aside, spots me and asks, hi, does these pants look good on me? M, take a spin and let me see. L spins. M, they fit you perfect. L, are you sure? M, absolutely. L gives me the biggest smile. L takes a dull purple knit blouse out from the dressing room. Will this look good with the pants? M, well what will you use the outfit for? L, it's for my 65th birthday party. M, I didn't like the blouse at all, was having a blast interacting with the sweet lady and had time on my hands. M, what's your size? L gives me her size and I bring her this bright colored tunic with flowers, birds and gold, that I spotted earlier. L, oh this is very bold. I'm not used to stand out. M, try it on, you might get surprised. L gets in the dressing room still talking to me about not being brave enough to shine this much. S enters the scene. L comes out with the tunic on. M, wow this suits you so much. It would be perfect for your party. L gives me a little insecure smile. Looks in the mirror and her smile gets bigger. You're right, this actually suits me. S, your friend is right. This look is great for you. L looks at me very confused. You don't work here? M, no. L, but why would you help me? Me, you asked me nicely. The three of us share a good chuckle and I leave wishing the lady a happy birthday party. The next story is titled, Can You Not Tug on That? You're awfully close to my penis. Oh, so I had a fun one the day after Christmas. Got lots of gift cards, so I went to a store that has an I for a logo because I wanted to try to get a pair of AirPods. Probably my fault for daring the after Christmas crowd. I keep my badge for work on a lanyard that I use a keychain loop to attach to my pants since I have a real habit of misplacing it. Anyway, I was looking for something sweet after not getting my AirPods since they were sold out, and this crabby old idiot came waddling down the cookie aisle. I at the time had my actually headphones in listening to Being Scared, awesome YouTube channel for fans of horror. She'll be Cobb for obvious reasons. Cobb snaps fingers, hey you. Me, internal screaming while pausing at a good part of the story, yes ma'am. Cobb, where is the pop? Oh, this is an obvious snowbird. FYI, I live in Arizona and when these types come down here for winter it's like a haven for IDWHL scenarios. Me, I think it's 2 aisles over but I'm not sure as I don't work here. Have a nice day though. As I unpause and start to walk away I feel my headphones get ripped from my ear, which caused my phone to fall out of my hoodie pocket with them. I stared at them for a few seconds deciding how to react. Cobb, serves you right you little brat. You young people never respect your elders, how dare you turn your back to me. Me, first of all I'm 35, second of all for the second time now, I don't work here so I'm not someone who is required to put up with any of your crap, and even if I did work here that's no way to treat people. If this is the kind of person you are, I can only imagine what your kids are like. It's parents like you that raise entitled little a-holes, that's the real trouble with today's youth. Don't touch me again. She looked like a fish trying to inhale as much water as she could with how her mouth was hung agape. As I turned to walk away, I feel a strong tug on my lanyard that is literally hanging down by my penis. Meat, can you not touch that, you're really close to my penis. This gets the attention of a nearby manager. Manager, what's going on over here? Cobb, this employee of yours wouldn't help me and swore at me. Me, I'm sorry Miss Manager, but there's probably someone with a very large butterfly net looking for this woman who has just physically assaulted me twice and she also tried to sexually assault me once. Cobb, see, he's such a smart ass and I would do no such thing. Me, ma'am, you still haven't released your hold of my lanyard that again for the second time is right next to my special place and there's cameras all over this section that just recorded you ripping my headphones out causing my phone to fall to the floor. Manager looks at her, looks at me and looks at my lanyard that she still hasn't released yet. Manager, ma'am, he doesn't work here, he's wearing another company's name on his lanyard and a t-shirt that says Bullet Club on it. How could you possibly think he works here? I can also clearly see you're holding him by a lanyard that is hanging down by his privates, can you let him go or do I call security? He'd also be well within his rights to physically defend himself at this point. Cobb, well I have never. Me, I'm sure that's not true. Can you let go now please? She finally lets go and is trespassed from the store. The manager apologized, I told her not to worry as it wasn't even close to her fault. I have still yet to find my AirPods, maybe after New Year's. The next story is titled, You Just Hit a Deaf Girl with Your Cart. I'm a waitress at restaurant near a grocery store. I got out of work late but the store stays open until midnight so I ran in to grab a few things before heading home. I have a khaki uniform shirt on that's similar to what the employees wear so I can see how this mean lady, ML, might be confused but that doesn't excuse what happened. I was standing in front of a chip stand, mind you, with a full basket of groceries, just trying to figure out what I wanted. Out of the corner of my eye I see ML walk down the aisle towards me, but I don't pay much attention. A little backstory, I'm deaf in my left ear and have an ear infection in the other so I can't hear very well. Also, I was exhausted after being on my feet for 10 hours so my reaction time is a little slow. I see ML move in right next to me so I stepped aside thinking she needed something I was blocking. That's when all hell broke loose. ML, I said get it down for me. I'm looking around to see if there's anyone else she's yelling at. Nope. Just me. It's closing time so the employees are usually on the other side of the store restocking. I stare at her confused, for some reason unable to form the words I needed to say, I don't work here lady. ML, oh. My. God. How many ducking times do I need to ask? Are you deaf or something? Get me the soda down now. She's jabbing her finger in the air towards a case of soda on the top shelf much more aggressively now. At this point the cashier, C, heard the commotion and came running over. I'm standing there dumbfounded just staring at her with confusion painted all over my tired face. C, ma'am, what's going on? Nope, it's too late. ML has walked over to her grocery cart and forcefully pushed it at me, hitting my leg and then crashing into the chips. ML, hello? Answer me. What the duck is wrong with her? Is she some kind of slow person? The cashier runs over to me and pushes the cart out of the way. C, oh my gosh, are you okay? What happened? Why are you yelling at her? ML, I asked her for help and she pretends she can't hear me. At this point I'm like screw this. I point at my ear and shake my hand. Then I start just going off in ASL. I look over to ML and see the realization dawn on her face. The cashier confirms what the logical part of her brain is now screaming. C, you just hit a deaf girl with your cart. ML starts sputtering, I can see her brain turning over trying to pull any and every excuse she can come up with. She finally spits out a sorry somewhere within all that gibberish. I don't want to deal with this anymore or escalate the situation, so I walk over to the self-checkout without a bag of chips. I guess someone had called the manager over because someone with a tie blew past me. I can't hear what is being said at first until the yelling starts up again. Well, this would have never happened if you had your workers doing their jobs. I'm done checking out and ready to walk out the doors when I decide to look back one last time. Has once again gotten a hold of her cart and is having a tug-o-war with the manager while throwing items from the cart at him. The cashier sees me leaving and tries to wave me down. I just smile, wave back, and turn around. I felt like one of those people walking slow-mo away from an explosion without even flinching. The next story is titled, Forced Racist Rich Lady to Dumpster Dive. Some time ago, I had a job as a runner for a crappy horror movie company. Part of my job as a runner was to go to the bank to make various deposits and withdrawals for both the company and the boss. I went to the bank almost every day, sometimes multiple times a day. The bank was in a really upscale neighborhood, so it was not uncommon to see some really high-end cars in the nearby lot where I parked. The lot was not free if you were just parking to walk the area, but you could get validation if you went to certain specific businesses, like the bank a few buildings away. At this point, I had been at my job for about 3.5 years, which meant I had been to this lot easily about 1,000 times. I knew a lot of the workers in the area by name, including the lot workers. We talked a lot, and oftentimes I could get away with not getting validation, even on days I wasn't working. I was in my mid-20s and was often in shorts, flip-flops, and a merchandise shirt from my company. We didn't have uniforms, so they just gave me a ton of shirts from their movies, so I would have some kind of identifier while I was out working. Now, I should mention that I am Hispanic with pretty dark skin. I normally wouldn't even bother mentioning that, because who cares? You know who cares? Rich entitled people. I've seen my fair share of veiled racism and typecasting over the years. Hell, even at that lot, I've been asked multiple times to park people's cars. They usually apologize and look embarrassed when I point out the guys in the polo shirts and vests with the name of the lot on them, so I usually just roll my eyes and go about my day. Occasionally, I'll get someone rude that will snap their fingers at me, which I extremely hate, or chuck their keys at me. I'm usually a little more of an ass, but nothing major. On this day, I was in a fairly poor mood. My company was starting to do some shady stuff and was screwing over employees. A lot of people hadn't been paid in weeks, and I was on half checks. The only reason I got any money was because the main meat of my job had me driving anywhere from 4 to 12 hours a day, and I can't do that without gas, which they reimbursed me for on top of my paycheck. So on my way to the bank, I bought a strawberry smoothie for lunch, as I knew there was no chance I was gonna make it back to the office to eat the food I brought. I pull into the non-valet parking in the lot, chat with the attendant while I grab my ticket, and start walking towards the bank. I hear someone shouting, "Jose." Hey Jose, but obviously I ignore it, as my name is not Jose. I walk past the lady shouting when I feel something smack me in the back of the head, dropping my glasses. I pick up my glasses and turn around and see this red-in-the-face lady glaring angrily at me. I was super pissed. I looked down to see what hit me and, of course, it was her car and house keys. This idiot literally threw her keys at a stranger's head. She was driving some really nice Escalade that looked like it was probably fully loaded and detailed regularly. I pick up her keys and shout, "What the duck, lady?" She shouts back, "Didn't you hear me calling you, you ducking beaner? It's your own fault for ignoring me. I'm late for my hair appointment, park my goddamn car." I was absolutely dumbfounded. I tried to explain to her that I didn't work there, but she was not having it. Every time I opened my mouth, she called me something even more demeaning and racist, questioning my intelligence and threatening to get me fired. She started walking away, so I decided, duck it. I hurried up, walked to the restaurant next door and shouted, "Hey, idiot." She turned around, steaming at her ears. I said, as calmly as I could manage, "I don't work there." Then I dropped her keys in my half-full smoothie and chucked it as hard as I could into the restaurant's dumpster. The look on her face when the cup exploded in pink chunks as her keys dropped into a stanky dumpster was absolutely the freaking best. I walked away, flipping her off as she turned and ran back to the attendants. After I did all my bank business, I went back to the lot and saw her shouting at the lot security and pointing at me. The security guard, who of course I knew, asked me what happened. I told him she threw her keys at me, started shouting obscenities, and refused to take them back when I tried to explain that I didn't work there. And also that I threw them in my smoothie and chucked them in the trash next door. He was holding back his laughter when I finished. She tried to get him to call the cops on me, but he explained to her that she willingly gave me her keys and refused to take them back, telling her that she should have taken that extra second to listen to what I was trying to tell her. She then demanded that one of the workers go into the dumpster and fish the keys out, but he just pointed at a sign that said that the lot takes no responsibility for lost or stolen property. He then informed her that her Escalade was blocking traffic into the lot and that if she didn't move it in 15 minutes, he would call a tow truck to move it. She did not like that, and she let him know she didn't through racist ranting and grandstanding. He stood there quietly the whole time and took it. When she was finally finished, he looked down at his watch and told her, "You have 7 minutes, ma'am." Wouldn't you know it, she angrily trudged off towards the dumpster. We had a good laugh about it, but he told me not to do it again. As I pulled out of the lot, I got a nice view of her in the dumpster furiously throwing everything everywhere. I honked and waved as I passed and went about my day with a big smile on my face. The next day, one of the lot guys told me that they ended up having to tow her Escalade. I guess she couldn't find her keys. Oh well, hope the hairdresser didn't mind her smelling like garbage. I'm not sure about the legality of this all, or if I would have been in any actual trouble if the police had been called. She just caught me on a bad day. I don't feel the least bit sorry about what I did though, haha. I guess the moral of the story is don't be racist trash, and also, don't just give your keys to anyone like an idiot. The next story is titled, Another Suburban Mum at Hot Topic. One day I decide to go into Hot Topic with my girlfriend. I'm dressed in my black combat boots, black jeans, black shirt, piercings, etc. I'm sorting through a rack of clearance stuff seeing if there's anything in my size. A woman is standing on the other side looking at the wall of shirts. I start walking in that direction when she grabs my attention. "Excuse me, I need to find this shirt in a large and I can't seem to find it." Judging by the fact that she's a middle-aged woman looking like she's on the local PTA, and is currently looking for a Blink 182 shirt, she's definitely shopping for her kid. I take a look at the shirt, find it, and grab a large. I hand it to her and take the other shirt and put it back. "Oh, I must have missed that, thank you so much. I also wanted to ask about this sale you have on denim, is it?" "I'm sorry ma'am, I actually don't work here," I said, smiling like an embarrassed kid I basically was. She just stops with the same smiling face and says, "What? I'm sorry ma'am, but I don't work here. I have no idea about this sale." She puts her head in her hands and just starts laughing. "I'm so sorry. You should grab an application, it seems like they could use you here." I joked with her that I was in there enough to know where everything was and I might just look into that application. She thanked me and walked to the dressing where, surprise, her daughter was changing. All I hear before I walk away is, "Oh my god, you'll never believe what I just did." Very wholesome interaction. 10 out of 10 would help sweet suburban mum helping her kid get her rock on. The next story is titled, Don't You Know Who We Are? I had already switched from chef work to sommelier work, having left my first big sommelier job to take over as head sommelier, executive manager of a restaurant group. The city I lived in was the capital, lots of embassies and lots of politicians, so the high-end restaurants would often get large parties of politicians and ambassadors. Because of this sort of clientele, we had very high-end wine lists at all our restaurants, but not all of them were super expensive food-wise, and our house wine was very affordable, also had lots of good wine by the glass. This made some of our locations very popular as a lunch spot for servers who worked in the area. One cloudy day I was sitting in a corner banquette, just doing paperwork, enjoying some moussaka roll-ups, like eggplant parmigiana almost but rolled up and with mashed potato inside as well as the cheese, tomato and herbs. This was a specialty for this Greek mezz restaurant. The server on duty was pretty busy, she was new and didn't know me, I knew her though. She was doing alright serving everyone without too much problem, no one was waiting more than a few minutes to get attention. There was also a server from the restaurant across the street, not part of my group, but a regular, sitting and having a glass of house wine as she was organizing her tips from her shift. She looked like a server, in blacks, with a black short apron. Similar uniform to what was worn in our restaurant. In walks a bunch of people, group of 6, I recognize one of them as an ambassador's aide, didn't recognize the others, 4 guys and 2 women, one of whom had the classic Karen hair-do. They don't wait at the front where the sign says to wait to be seated, they walk right into the dining room, push 2 tables together and grab extra chairs. They're sitting sprawling, taking up lots of room in the middle of the dining room, talking loudly about how this place has a great wine list. One of them says he's gonna order. They have now been in the restaurant for less than 2 minutes total. The server on duty can't see them from the corner where they do their side duties. She had been in the back serving the VIP room. At this point the group are already starting to complain that they haven't been served yet, which is when they notice the server from the other restaurant who is just enjoying her glass of wine. Ambassador's aide substantially louder than it needed to be, "Hey you can't drink on the job. Why haven't you taken our order yet?" Karen hairdo, not at all under her breath, "I can't believe how unprofessional that girl is." Then to the girl, "We'll have you fired for this. Do you know who we are?" Ambassador's aide, "This is an outrage. Not our server." Girl, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't work here, I work at a different restaurant. I'm sure a server will be here to take your order soon." Karen hairdo, "Don't you give us that bullcrap, you lazy good for nothing." Incoherent mumbles. At this point I'm already not liking where this is going, but I decide to wait a minute to see how the new server handles it. She has arrived with her customer service smile plastered across her face. "Actual server, pardon me, I'm Mandy and will be your server for the day. Can I take your order?" Karen hairdo, "Finally. We've been waiting here for 20 minutes, maybe 3 tops, with no service. And your colleague here didn't even get up to greet us. She's just getting drunk. You can't drink on the clock." Directed with malice at the innocent server girl from another restaurant, "You need to fire her right now. I demand to speak to your manager. Do you even know who I am? I work for the redacted consulate. I could have both your jobs for this." It was at this point I finally recognized the lady. She was a receptionist for the consulate where she worked. I had seen her a year and a bit prior when she came with a large group for their office Christmas party. I could have stepped in at this point, but I was curious how the new server, Mandy, would handle this. Mandy in an apologetic tone, "I'm so sorry, but I didn't see you arrive. Normally people wait to be seated as the sign asks, so I couldn't see you all sitting here. Please don't badger our guests though, that lady doesn't work here and is a paying customer. I believe she works at another restaurant down the street." Karen hairdo cuts her off, "Don't you dare lie to me, you little," redacted racial slur, "I eat liars like you for breakfast." Quote. Rest of the 6 are egging Karen hairdo on at this point, and I can see this may be escalating beyond what the server can handle. So I text the owner's son who lives upstairs. He's also a part owner in the group and sometimes does some managing of this location, happens to also be a bodybuilder and is huge. Less than 30 seconds later I get a BRT text from the owner's son. Karen hairdo, yelling in a shrill indignant voice, "Where is your manager? Get him now. You can't treat us like this. We are important people." Mandy was starting to look like she was going to cry at this point, and the "not our server" is shrinking back into the bonket as both of them were being yelled at incoherently by this group of 6 rude flunkies. At this point the assistant floor manager has arrived due to the screeching, but the 6 insane screechers are just ignoring her. I stand, take a couple steps toward them, take a deep breath and at the top of my lungs shout, "Quiet now." I was an actor in high school and know how to project, so my voice fills the room. Everyone stops their shouting and turns to me. Me, at a more reasonable voice level, "Okay, so here's what's going to happen. None of you need to speak to a manager. What you need to do is grab your stuff and get out. I won't have you shouting at my server, or my guests. No one deserves to be talked to the way you have been. And before you indignantly ask me if I know who you are, I do. I know exactly who you are, and I know your boss, and your boss's boss, both of whom love eating here and would be appalled at your behavior." At this point I notice Matthew, the owner's son, has just come in through the kitchen door, dressed in his gym gear, glistening with sweat like some sort of Greek statue of Heracles, 6 feet 4 and nearly 300 pounds of muscle. The look on his face just screams, "I just got here and I'm already completely done with this." I can see Karen hairdo is about to protest, but I hold up my hand. And in my no-nonsense commanding voice, "No, this is not a discussion, get up, and go, now." Karen hairdo in an injured indignant tone, "Well, I never." Me, matter of factly, "And you never will again. You can consider yourselves banned from this establishment." Matthew, owner's son, part owner, rather louder than he really needed to be, "Get out of my restaurant and don't even think of coming back. You're all going on the blacklist." Matthew's colossal form starts moving towards them, and it seems the look on his face was enough to end any further discussion as the group grab their things and rush out of the restaurant. I thank Matt for coming down and interrupting his workout for the assist. The manager comps the not our server's meal and wine for her marred experience. Our server is told she did nothing wrong, that it's okay, she's not in any danger of being fired, and in fact handled it about as well as she could have. She is given the rest of the day off with pay. The group each have a headshot pulled from security cams and are added to our digital blacklist, but it doesn't end there. I call the consulate and talk with the ambassador, who is appalled by the behavior of his staff, all of whom arrive back at the consulate that day to find they had been fired for attempting to use their job to bully others. He comes in personally the next week to apologize to our server, manager and the owner's son in person, and assure us that the group no longer work at the consulate. Moral of the story: never use your position of perceived power to bully others, you may well end up losing that position. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.